relaxation for me. I enjoyed entertaining kids. Like some people are, you know, they unwind in different ways, either by going out drinking or that. I could put on clown makeup and I was relaxed, and I enjoyed it.
John Wayne Gacy's story begins in the quiet suburbs of Chicago during the 1970s, a time when the American dream seemed alive in communities like Norwood Park. At first glance, Gacy appeared to embody that ideal, a hard-working businessman, community volunteer, and an entertainer. He was the man next door, always quick with a smile, eager to help his neighbors, and even dressing as Pogo the Clown to entertain children at parties and hospitals. But behind this facade of charm and normalcy hid a twisted and monstrous killer who would go on to murder 33 young men and boys in one of the most shocking killing sprees in American history. Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago. His early life was far from ordinary. Raised in a working-class family, Gacy's childhood was marked by abuse and emotional neglect. His father, a harsh alcoholic, frequently belittled him, calling him weak and effeminate. These experiences stayed with Gacy, fueling his insecurities and a desperate desire for approval. Despite the trauma of his early years, he worked hard to make something of himself. In his 20s, Gacy moved to Iowa, where he managed several KFC franchises owned by his father-in-law. He married, had 2 children, and seemed to be living the life of a model citizen. But in 1968, Gacy's life took a dark turn. He was convicted of sexually assaulting a teenage boy and sentenced to 10 years in prison, serving just 18 months before being released on parole, a decision that would come to haunt the country. Upon returning to Chicago, Gacy seemed determined to rebuild his life. He started a construction business, PDM Contractors, and began integrating himself into local politics and civic groups. But it was during this time that he began to show his true nature. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy lured at least 33 young men and boys to his home. He would offer them work, promise to show them a job opportunity, or simply invite them to drink. His victims were often vulnerable. Teenagers were young men with troubled backgrounds, runaways, or those struggling with addiction. Once inside Gacy's house, he would overpower them, using handcuffs or chloroform to incapacitate them. Some victims were tortured and sexually assaulted before being killed, while others died by strangulation. Gacy often buried the bodies in the crawl space beneath his home. Those he couldn't bury were discarded in nearby rivers. At first, Gacy managed to evade detection. His status as a successful businessman and active community member kept his darker side hidden from suspicion. He continued to entertain children as Pogo the Clown and even ran his own construction company, hiring young men whom he would later murder. His charm and charisma made it hard for anyone to suspect the horrors occurring behind closed doors. But in December 1978, the case of a missing 15-year-old named Robert Piest would change everything. Robert had disappeared after meeting Gacy to discuss a job opportunity. The legacy of John Wayne Gacy is not just about the murders he committed, but also the lessons learned from his ability to deceive everyone around him. His case forever changed the way authorities approach serial killers. Gacy's charm allowed him to conceal his true nature, hiding in plain sight for years. It wasn't just his victims who were deceived. His neighbors, friends, and even law enforcement were too. Despite his death, Gacy's story continues to haunt us. He is remembered not just for his gruesome murders, but for the chilling fact that someone so outwardly ordinary could hide such a terrifying darkness. His crimes left lasting scars on the families of his victims, and his story serves as a stark reminder of the evil that can lie beneath a seemingly normal exterior. The victims, young men whose lives were stolen, will never be forgotten. Gacy's tale will always be one of deceit, horror, and betrayal, serving as a reminder to never let our guard down when it comes to the safety of those we love. The name John Wayne Gacy is forever linked to the idea that evil can wear any face, even that of a smiling clown.